It started as a street brawl with an inflated animal bladder. Now, it's a global spectacle that can bring billions of people to a standstill. How did that happen? How a simple ball and an even simpler idea, kick it into a net, captured the human imagination and came to reflect our shared history, our resilience, and our dreams. Our story doesn't begin on the pristine pitches of England, but in the ancient courts of China. Over 2,000 years ago, during the Han Dynasty, a game called Cuju was played. It was an exercise in skill, where players kicked a leather ball stuffed with feathers through an opening in a net. Cuju wasn't just for fun, it was also used for military training and featured in royal ceremonies, a true dance of control and technique. Thousands of miles away, the ancient Greeks had Episkiros, a much rougher game where two teams battled to force a ball over a boundary line with their hands and feet. The Romans adapted it into Harpastum, a fast-paced game that sharpened their soldiers' reflexes. These weren't just games. They were about strength, strategy, and bringing people together. But it was in medieval Europe where the sport found its wild, untamed spirit. Known as mob football, it was less a sport and more a city-wide riot with a ball at the center. Entire villages would go head-to-head, with huge crowds brawling over an inflated pig's bladder to move it toward a goal that could be miles away. These games were raw, violent, and had almost no rules. They were a visceral expression of local rivalry. Football was a wild, disorganized beast, but the 19th century, an age of industry and new ideas, finally tamed it. The change started England's elite public schools. Places like Eton, Harrow, and Cambridge all played their own versions of football, each with different rules. Some allowed players to handle the ball, while others were strictly feet only. This created an obvious problem. How could one school play another when they were technically playing different sports? On October 26, 1863, a historic meeting took place at the Freemasons Tavern in London. Representatives from a dozen clubs gathered to create a governing body, the Football Association, or the FA. Led by a man named Ebenezer Cobb Morley, he wrote the first universal laws of the game. Those original 13 laws were revolutionary. They set the dimensions of the pitch, size of the goal, and most importantly, made two key decisions. No hacking, kicking an opponent in the shins, and no carrying the ball. This meeting drew a line in the sand, permanently separating association football from what would soon become rugby. But the FA's rules weren't the only ones. In the industrial north, clubs in Sheffield had their own code, the Sheffield Rules, since 1858. These rules were hugely influential, introducing ideas like corner kicks and free kicks for fouls. For years, the FA and Sheffield codes coexisted, influencing and borrowing from each other. With a single set of rules, football was ready for export. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, British sailors, soldiers, and merchants traveled to every continent, and they brought their favorite pastime with them. They docked in South American ports, introducing the sport to locals on the dusty grounds of Buenos Aires and Montevideo. In Argentina, British railway workers founded clubs, like Newell's Old Boys, still have English names. In Brazil, Charles Miller, son of British immigrants, is celebrated as the father of Brazilian football for bringing the first footballs and a rulebook to the country. But South America didn't just copy the game, it remade it, injecting a unique rhythm and flair that became known as futebol arte, the art of football. British expatriates also started some of Europe's first clubs, like Genoa in Italy and Athletic Bilbao in Spain. The game spread through factories and universities, becoming a symbol of modern life. In Africa, it was introduced in colonial schools and port cities, where it was quickly embraced and woven into the fabric of local communities. What made football so contagious was its simplicity. Unlike a sport like cricket, football didn't need expensive gear or perfect fields. All it required was a ball, or anything that could roll, and some open space. It was a game for everyone. Every culture that adopted football added its own unique flavor. The game became a canvas for different societies to project their values, style, and spirit. Twice in the 20th century, the world was plunged into the darkness of global war. Football could have easily faded away, but instead, these moments of hardship showed the game's incredible power to offer a flicker of hope. The most legendary tale comes from the trenches of World War I. On Christmas Day, 1914, along parts of the Western Front, an unofficial truce broke out between British and German soldiers. Soldiers cautiously left their trenches, not to fight, but to exchange gifts and share a moment of peace. Somewhere in the muddy, shell-cratered cratered expanse of no man's land, footballs appeared, spontaneous, joyful kickabouts. While historians debate the scale of these games, the story has become a powerful symbol of football's ability to transcend even war. The game endured through World War II as well. Professional leagues were suspended, soldiers on leave played matches, prisoners of war used it to keep morale high, and civilians kicked a ball around in bomb-damaged streets. It was a defiant act of joy in a world torn apart. In the decades after the wars, as the world rebuilt, football entered a golden age. The FIFA World Cup, first held in 1930, had laid the groundwork for a true global competition, and it was on this stage that the game's first global superstars were born. No one defined this era more than Pelé, a young Brazilian who exploded onto the world stage at the 1958 World Cup. He played with a combination of skill, athleticism, and pure joy that no one had ever seen. He became football's first global icon, a symbol of the sport's beauty and its power to lift an entire nation. His rise was a turning point. Football was no longer just about the team. It was about the transcendent genius of individuals who could make the entire world hold its breath. As football's popularity exploded, the game itself got smarter. The old kick-and-rush style slowly gave way to strategy, systems, and a new kind of on-field genius. One of the first major shifts was Herbert Chapman's WM formation in the 1930s. Chapman, the visionary manager of Arsenal, pulled a player from midfield into defense, creating a balanced, solid structure that dominated English football. But that was just the start. In the 1950s, the Hungarian national team, the magical Magyars, blew everyone's minds, famously using a deep-lying forward who completely confused old-school defenses. Their 6-3 thrashing of England at Wembley in 1953 sent shockwaves through the sport, forcing England to finally look outside its own borders for new ideas. Then came the Italians, who basically said, "Attacking is great, but have you tried not letting the other team score?" This was Catenaccio in the 1960s, masterminded by coaches like Nereo Rocco and Helenio Herrera. Catenaccio was disciplined, cynical, and brutally effective. It proved you could win by being impossible to break down. But for every great defense, a great attack is waiting. In the 1970s, the Dutch national team and Ajax, under the leadership of coach Rinus Michels and his on-field general, Johan Cruyff, total football was a philosophy that changed everything. In this system, no player had a fixed position. A defender could pop up on the wing, a midfielder could drop into the back line. The team moved as one fluid, interchangeable unit, demanded incredible technical skill and tactical intelligence. These tactical shifts, from the WM to Catenaccio to total football and onto modern ideas like tiki-taka and gegenpressing, show a game that's always evolving, always searching for an edge, and always pushing the limits of what's possible on a pitch. The last few decades have seen football complete its journey from a beloved sport to a global entertainment juggernaut. This modern era has been shaped by two powerful forces: money and media. The real turning point was the creation of the English Premier League in 1992. England's top clubs broke away from the old Football League to form a new competition designed for profit, fueled by massive television deals. The Premier League marketed itself to the entire world, attracting the best players with staggering wages and creating a weekly spectacle broadcast to billions. This model was copied across Europe. Football clubs transformed into global brands, with huge marketing departments and worldwide partnerships. And on the pitch, this era of globalization was defined by a rivalry that will go down in history. Lionel Messi versus Cristiano Ronaldo. For over a decade, these two incredible athletes pushed each other to unimaginable heights. Messi, quiet magician at Barcelona with his impossible dribbling and creative genius. Ronaldo, the powerhouse at Real Madrid and Manchester United with his unmatched goal scoring and physical dominance. Football isn't just a game, it is the story of us that is still being written with every kick of the ball, in every field, on every street, in every corner of the world.